Hi, I'm Cara McCollum with Writers to Writers here at the New Jersey Romance Writers Conference. I'm here with Susan Mallery, who is the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author. So we're here today for you to tell us how to woo readers with conflict. So writing conflict is an integral part of any work of fiction. But how does writing conflict for a romance novel differ from other genres?
I'm a big believer that people read fiction because of how it makes them feel. If they want information, they'll go read nonfiction. So our job as a writer is to take readers on an emotional journey, and part of that emotion is conflict. Now, in romance, it's even more important because the whole story, whatever the external plot is, the internal story is about the couple falling in love. And if there's no internal conflict, they meet, they like each other, they date, they end up together, and you don't even have a short story. So conflict is what keeps them from falling in love on page 3, which is different than what keeps them physically apart, which could be your external plot. So I think conflict is important, and conflict needs to grow from who they are. The internal conflict is what the book is going to hang on. For example, if he doesn't trust women, give him a woman he can't trust. If she has trouble trusting a man, the reverse, give her a man she can't trust. So that's what you want to look for. I describe it as the irresistible force and the immovable object.
Right. Editors a lot of times will reject a book because they say that an author can't maintain, that sort of intriguing conflict. What is your advice to writers on how to sustain a conflict that's engaging throughout their entire novel?
A lot of this can be a lot of times you can tie your conflict to your theme, which is very helpful. The first half of the book, you disprove the theme. So if your theme is love heals and the first half it doesn't heal, your conflict shows it doesn't heal. The second half, your theme is proven. You prove love heals. Your conflict begins to resolve. So for me, theme and conflict can go hand in hand. It's very helpful to add depth. You work those two together. You do a little bit of planning. You get some structure. Even if it's just mental, you don't have to plot. For those of you who are pantsers, don't start sweating. It's okay. You don't have to plot, but you do need to have some direction.
So talking about that happy ending, which is why we love romance novels. So what is your advice to, just a quick tip for writers on how to make a satisfying resolution?
One of the things we require of our character in romance is they have to earn their happy ending, and that means they have to overcome their conflict. So in the first half of the book, you want to demonstrate why the conflict is a problem. And the good part is it doesn't even have to be between the hero and heroine. It can be demonstrated with a secondary character because you may not want to pull the trigger on that in the first half. In the second half, you need to show it resolved. And this really does have to be shown. I had a heroine who couldn't trust, and I showed her conflict in a physical way. In the first half of the book, she's swept away on a kayak, and the hero's like, reach out your hand to me. Right. And she laughs. She will risk drowning rather than trust him. In the second half of the book, and I don't usually do natural disasters, but I happen to in this book, there was a flash flood. And she's literally hanging off the side of a cliff, and it's going to die. He knows she's not going to hold out her hand. And he's like, hold out your hand, and she takes his hand. So we physically saw, I don't trust, I now trust. Now that's really on the nose, so hopefully you'll all do better than me. But that's what you want to do. The first half is, you need to build to a point. That's why as I said, you've got to have the steps in your head. You've got to see the path of, I build the conflict, I resolve the conflict. And it must be resolved in a believable way. We have to have seen the steps the character took in his or her head. I don't believe, okay, maybe I'm hopeful, I'm willing to take a chance. Right. Resolution. If you want a happy ending that is emotionally satisfying, your characters, they need to do the work. They need to have earned it. That's why we put them through all the trials we put them through, so at the end we can say, wow, he deserves her, she deserves him. We want to believe they are meant for each other, but they have to earn it. It's not a gift.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us, Susan. We appreciate your advice.
Thank you.